Okay? Cassie, how do you process it? Appreciate.
First you do this for a while, and then you go and you say, Blinky.
Ooh,
And he goes,
then I'll do my usual get out clause, which I'll need.
right away on the end.
Is on the end of the nose, is it? Oh, I'll need to see it
You
washed.
can rent these two out for bar mitzvahs.
Hang on, you're missing
You get on and do how you process wine.
Well, you're missing the crucial line, which is I'll need to see this washed to be certain, Cassie.
Yes, and then I go, it's the women's.
We should be able to tell you.
And you go off and we do washing up, and you get a nice bowl of water that's preferably not absolutely freezing cold, but not
Tepid. Tepid's good. That way you won't get chilled.
And you get a little toothbrush, and you give it a bit of a dunk and some gentle washing.
Never drop the fines into the bowl and leave them there soaking. If there's anything fragile,
that's
it'll
not
fall
a good
apart.
idea.
Dip and scrub.
Holding in your hand, turning gently, making sure you expose as much of that as you can, so there's not all mud and all the cracks, which will tell you things. And then when you've finished, you put it on one side in a labelled drying tray, preferably something absorbent at the bottom, and you wait for it to go dry, and then newspaper's good, and then you go, oh, we've done it now.
And then I stroll over and pronounce. Yes, it's Roman, probably early. I'm in the room of cooking for him. And then she gives me a banana.
Next
And
stage.
then it goes in once it's completely dry, it goes in a bag that looks a lot like the one you would have come out of. But
The way to tell if a piece of pot is completely dry, because it sometimes look dry on the outside but still damp in the middle, and you put it in a bag like that, it'll sweat and go mouldy. Just put it against your cheek. You'll be able to feel if it's damp. It'll sort of feel cold and damp and nasty even if it looks dry. It's nice and dry like this. It feels nice and dry.
Feels nice and dry.
There you go.
And that's because it's porous, and evaporation from the porous surface makes it cold. So it will feel cold while it's still wetting. And you will put it in a fine bag consart when it is completely dry, and on it you write the context. So if it was test pit 1, date, your initials, so we can track you down when it's wrong.
Yeah, in indelible pen.
And then underneath it you would put what context it came out of. So spit 1, because we're going to find loads of amazing things in our topsoil, or whatever it is. So it always spends its entire life either in a labelled fines tray just on the side of your trench, or in a labelled tray having just been washed, or in a labelled bag ready to go into your after.
Yeah, if you've got, when you're washing, you'll have two trays, one with the dirty fines in, one with the clean fines in. Make sure they're both labelled.
Yeah.
If they're not labelled, we'll just throw them away because they're no use. We don't know where they come from. And all your work will have been in vain.
As much as you go, ooh, what a lovely rhythm, actually the only thing you're really interested in is the information that's contained. And if it's out of context, for archaeologists, as lovely as it is, it contains no information. So never ever let your finds be unlabelled.
This is why ultimately, once it will go back to the archive, it actually has numbers written on it. It will have an indelible ink. It will have. Can you come into that? Sorry. Okay, I'll do it. Which will have the site code and the context number it came from. So as occasionally happens, the fine store burns down and the bags all melt and the paper labels are all burnt. You've still got a number written on it, and someone does a nice job of going through this mountain of shed debris. I've known this happened. It happened, I think, in Canterbury about 20 years ago. And some poor sod spent 6 months going through this massive pile of burnt fines, sort of separating it all out into the original context.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they just have to chuck them all away because we don't know where they come from.
Paul, in the old days, used to get pieces of pottery and they'd been painstakingly numbered on the edge with a black pen.
Yeah, it still does it. That's what I was just talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the most secure still.
Yeah, it's Indian ink. Indian ink and an old-fashioned dipping pen. They've still haven't come up with a better way of doing it.
And in some places, especially certain countries, I can think of, you then have to go through them all and see if any of them fit together.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's the best bit. Yeah.
Paul, your best ever refitting experience?
Nice one. Oh God, I did one actually on my Facebook page about 6 months ago, which was on there with someone. It ended up as a medieval story show about this big, which just came in a box and spent, I think it was about 3 days, but live on the internet, sticking pots together.
Just talk us through very quickly the process of refitting.
It's like doing a jigsaw. You have this enormous great pile of broken shirts, which
And far too much time on it.
far too much time on your hands. And you basically, once you've isolated shirts from the same pot, so it's like doing a jigsaw, straight edges, sky, and the coloured bit. Effectively, bits of the rim, bits of the base, put them in separate piles. Look for decoration. If you've got decorated shirts, put them in different piles. If the pot's got a variegated colour around the side, it's got brown patches or grey patches, put the coloured bits that are all together. Then
that tells you about firing techniques.
It does, and it also tells about use techniques as well. Then you start, I usually start by building the rim, and if you've got a complete rim, build the rim, turn it upside down and place it on the desk, and then just start building up. Quite often shoulders on medieval pots are where you have some sort of decoration, so you can start applying the shoulders. You can put pieces together separately, not rather than one sherd at a time, build big chunks, and then you can actually construct all the chunks together. And about 3,000 rolls of masking tape and some HMG glue, and then leave it for a couple of days, take the tape off and pray it doesn't all fall apart. The good thing is once you've got it up like that, and with it being upside down, the weight of the pot actually holds it all together, it kind of locks together. So yeah, I mean again, that could be really useful for things like form, function, and just because they're really pretty. That's
and
why.
because you
Right.